Hi, my name is Alice Wong, and I'd like to thank the Disability Organizing Network for inviting me to speak at this conference. I'm sorry I can't be with you in person, but here's my presentation. Enjoy. I'm here to talk about the Disability Visibility Project and community partnership with StoryCorps and how StoryCorps can advance advocacy. The Disability Visibility Project is a campaign I launched last July encouraging people with disabilities to record their oral histories at StoryCorps, celebrating the 25th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act. Our project is a community partnership with StoryCorps, and StoryCorps is one of the largest oral history projects of its kind, with over 50,000 oral histories recorded so far. Millions listen to their weekly broadcasts on NPR's Morning Edition and additional stories on their website. In fact, one of our stories made it on air this January about the life of Max Starkvald. The DVP provides an opportunity for people with disabilities to come together and have a conversation about their lives unfiltered, to remember and celebrate the past, and to look forward to the future. Here are a few goals of the Disability Visibility Project: to highlight the voices and experiences of people with disabilities by people with disabilities, to recognize the breadth of diversity in the disability communities across the country, to document the zeitgeist of Americans with disabilities, and to preserve and share these stories at the Library of Congress and on our website as a resource for public use. In line with the theme of this conference, here are 3 short audio clips from the DVP featuring people who are speakers at this conference and or active members of the California disability community. Each story is centered on the lived experience of disability and highlights important advocacy issues facing our community, such as disability, identity and pride, the rights of parents with disabilities, and economic justice. Janni Lehrer Stein, a member of the National Council on Disability, interviewed Tony Coelho, former U.S. Congressman for California's 15th District and a principal author of the ADA. You can read more about Tony's story on our website, but here's a clip where he talks about the need to be open and out about one's disability and to share our stories with others.
A lot of people don't want to discuss their disability, don't want people to know they have a disability. But we got to be honest with ourselves and be open and say, yes, I have a disability, and here's what I want to do, and so forth. So it's a question of the disability community itself is a problem, and that we do not want to talk about it. Our parents or families are a problem because they don't want you to talk about it. But we have to change, and that's why myself and others with disabilities are so aggressive and talking about it so that it doesn't become a negative to talk about. Joyce Bender, who you know well, she was told by her doctor, and she said she had seizure, had epilepsy. He said, "You never use the word epilepsy." It's a doctor. Said, you have to say that you have a seizure disorder. And that's a whole different thing, and don't tell people you have epilepsy. So she came to the President's Committee, I was in charge of one time, and so she said, "I want to meet you because I have a seizure disorder also." And I said, "Oh, stop. What do you mean you have a seizure disorder?" She said, "Do you have seizures?" She said, "Yes." I said, "Then you have epilepsy." She said, "Well, my doctor told me not to use it." I said, "From now on, you're going to say that you have epilepsy." And so she has. But those are the type of things that happen today that we need to correct. We need to be aggressive about it. But I think our young people are willing to help if we are willing to talk about who we are, what we are, what our dreams are.
The second story is from Christina and her husband, Eli Gelardin. Christina is Deputy director of the California Foundation for Independent Living Centers, and Eli is executive director of the Marin Center for Independent Living. In this clip, they talk about disability pride, the rights of parents with disabilities, and becoming parents of a child with disabilities.
Got pregnant with Olivia. One of the most surprising things during that pregnancy for me was, we've worked in the disability rights movement I have been in it for almost 16 years now, and you've been in it 11 years. I think that we are big, as much of advocates we're huge advocates, but we also have a sense of disability pride that we put off, and we really appreciate and hold close. I hold my disability pride very close to me. So when the doctors asked us if we wanted to do any type of genetic testing to see if Olivia was going to have a disability, we said no. And we didn't care whether Olivia had your disability or had my disability, or, she had a chance of having a combination of our disabilities, and we didn't care. But as I started sharing that information with people in the community that we work with, I think the most surprising thing for me was when I did start telling people that, we could tell Olivia has a disability through ultrasounds, that people started apologizing. And they surprised me, because I thought, oh my gosh, here I am. I've been working in the disability rights movement and empowering youth with disabilities to take pride in who they are. And yet I'm sharing that I'm going to have a baby with a disability that I'm very proud of, and I have people apologizing to me in the same field.
I think it speaks to that challenge of giving yourself permission to have kids, giving yourself permission to have a family, and to accept that wholly, and feel that it's a right.
In the next and final clip, I interviewed Yomi Wong, Regional ADA Manager at Sutter Health, and a moderator from one of today's panels. Earlier this year, we discussed the unfinished business of the ADA, such as policy barriers that prevent people with disabilities from earning and saving, as well as larger economic justice issues.
Well, I think the next frontier, and I know that there are people working on this and talking about it, so it's not like some nuanced idea. It's really economic justice for people with disabilities. I mean, we are among the poorest of the poor in this country, the most unemployed or underemployed demographic. And, I think economic justice is really the next fight. And it's the fight now, right? And it's the fight in the future. And, what I would love is for kids coming up now, when they get out of high school and whether they decide to go to college or not or whatever, that there are more options than either receiving public assistance and falling into that poverty trap, or, going out and getting a job and I just wish there just were more options.
Yeah, I think that also being, a user of benefits and user of services shouldn't have so many restrictions in terms of options. So I think, one of the ways I think we should, as a society, support people with disabilities with high-level needs.
Yep.
Right? It should not prevent them from pursuing their goals and from accruing capital,
agree.
And from owning a home,
Absolutely.
from owning a car.
Absolutely. I know so many people who would love to be contributing in different ways to the community, maybe doing some work or whatever, but they can't because of the benefits trap. And it's a false choice.
It is a false choice. And, this idea that society should decide, or hopefully value people with disabilities and give them the supports that they need to participate in the community. And
Absolutely.
that should not have strings attached to how much they can achieve
Right.
economically.
Right. You know, and I think about that, and I think that's part of what motivated me to, to be sort of career-oriented. But as I age now, like I'm in my 40s, now I'm thinking about the full circle, about long-term care.
Yeah.
And what's going to happen to me when I'm no longer able to work, and when I start needing attendance.
Yeah.
Where will I live? I don't have children, so like, who's going to take care of me? It does. I'm actually obsessed with retirement savings right now. Yeah, because I'm afraid.
Yeah.
Right.
And these are real issues. And
Storytelling is an invaluable tool for social change. Storytelling can ask difficult questions, discover areas of advocacy, and offer potential solutions. With these 3 stories as examples, storytelling can advance advocacy in the following ways. Storytelling identifies individuals and communities they represent, embracing our identities, reclaiming stigmatizing labels, and taking pride in who we are builds a foundation for any form of advocacy. It also defines your community to other potential stakeholders and allies. Storytelling grounds abstract issues and concepts in real-world terms. Stories about how people are impacted by a specific policy or how institutions marginalize and discriminate can often move and mobilize people, adding a qualitative component to statistics, white papers, journal articles, and advocacy campaigns. Storytelling creates community by connecting people with one another, leading to a richer understanding of the lived experience of disability. Various social media platforms can offer new ways for advocates to present their stories in different forms for outreach. Storytelling transmits culture, history, and knowledge across the generations and multiple communities. Very plainly, it illustrates how the personal is political. I hope you consider recording your story for the DVP, either in person at the StoryCorps booth just across the street on the 6th floor of the main library, or by using the new StoryCorps app. It's free and easy peasy. Our project will wind down December 31st, so there's still time. Details on how to participate are on our website. For any questions or comments, feel free to reach me by email at alicat155@gmail.com, on Twitter at DISVISIBILITY, or our website disabilityvisibilityproject.com. And more information on StoryCorps can be found at StoryCorps.org. Thank you so much.